You've already tried using cannabis to relax, but what if you could use it to realign? Today, I'm going to show you why combining cannabis with mindfulness might be the most powerful way for you to regulate dopamine, improve your focus, and feel better in your body, all without burning out. Hi, I'm Tabitha Fritz. I'm an intentional cannabis educator, and I'm the founder of Level Up. I teach people how to use cannabis as a tool for intentional living, not just for momentary relief. And in this video today, we're going to talk about one of my absolute favorite pairings, and that's cannabis and mindfulness, and how that pairing helps to align your brain chemistry, your nervous system, and your day-to-day clarity. Here's what we're going to be covering. Number one, why mindfulness actually regulates your dopamine better than almost every single hack that's out there. Number two, how cannabis actually amplifies mindfulness-based focus and presence. And third, we're going to cover 5 simple ways that you can combine the two, cannabis and mindfulness, without needing hours of meditation. I know what you're thinking. I'm going to have to sit and, smoke weed and then sit and meditate for 12 hours to get whatever she's talking about. That's not it at all. Listen, trust me, my attention span's at least as short as yours. So I'm going to tell you 5 tips about how to do it without spending all that time. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's talk dopamine. This brain chemical is responsible for motivation, for focus, and for your emotional regulation. And one of the best ways to balance it naturally, mindfulness. Let's talk about why mindfulness is a dopamine regulator. First of all, mindfulness activates the striatum, which is a brain area that's associated with reward. Okay, so just being mindful in general actually activates the areas in your brain that have to do with your reward system. Now, PET scans were done of people who were practicing mindfulness, and what they found is that practicing mindfulness actually increases your dopamine activity. When you are mindful and focused in the morning, there is an increase in dopamine release within your brain. You get more dopamine in your brain by being mindful than by not being mindful. Now, regular practice of being mindful is going to also increase your dopamine receptor sensitivity, which means that your brain can respond more clearly to the dopamine that actually is in its system without getting overstimulated. Your brain is able to respond more clearly to rewards that exist without it being too much, without being overstimulated. So mindfulness lets your brain really tap into the rewards that you're getting and say, oh yeah, that's exactly what I want to. I can get that with clarity, instead of going, oh yeah, I think that reward sounds good. I'm going to go for all the rewards, right? Which is what can happen when we're not mindful. Regular practice of mindfulness is also going to reduce cortisol levels in your body, which is the stress hormone that is formed in your body when you are in fight or flight, right? So when you're in fight or flight and your sympathetic nervous system is constantly being stimulated, your body is going to produce stress hormones, which include cortisol. And cortisol is great when it's just in your system momentarily, but when it remains in your system for a long time over time, it can lead to some really negative effects. So mindfulness reduces the levels of cortisol in your brain. It also helps to calm your amygdala. Now, your amygdala is the part of your brain that's like the base fear center of your brain. If you were to see a lion standing in the middle of your street, your amygdala would go, danger, do something, right? And that's what gets your stress hormones flooding into your body. That's what's going to give you the cortisol and adrenaline into your body when you see that there's something terrifying that's happening, right? But when you live in a constant state of stress, when you are constantly like at a low base level of fear about the world or about, your work or your life or whatever it is, then the amygdala is constantly in a state of arousal. So mindfulness, we know this, actually helps to reduce the amygdala's activity in your brain. It helps get you out of that state of fear. It helps get you out of that state of heightened arousal all the time so that you can start to regulate yourself. And mindfulness can also help to protect you against stress-induced dopamine depletion. right? So if you are stressed out all the time, it is going to deplete your dopamine because your brain is constantly going to be looking for the thing that makes it feel better, right? So mindfulness can help to protect against that as well. So in other words, mindfulness doesn't just make you calm. It actually renews your capacity for being calm and for being motivated and for focusing. Right? When you are mindful, it increases your body's ability to not only be calm, but to use its resources to create new things, to add value, to be focused, to be motivated to do something, to be motivated to create something. Right? Mindfulness improves your ability to do that even when you're under stress. It makes you feel better in the moment, but it improves your ability to deal with stress long term so that you can be motivated and focused. Now, that's just mindfulness. We're going to add cannabis to the equation, right? So let's bring cannabis into the picture. And when used intentionally, cannabis can act like a doorway into mindfulness. Cannabis can help you become more mindful when that actually might have been a challenge beforehand. Here's an example. Small doses of THC or CBD can reduce noise in your nervous system, which can, you're not so suddenly anxious and worried about all of these things that are happening. Your nervous system isn't constantly pinging with, things that you could potentially be afraid of. Instead, it's going to calm that noise down. The THC and the CBD will calm some of that noise down and make it easier for you to stay present and in the moment and in your body. Cannabis also increases your introspective awareness and your sensory sensitivity, I guess is what I want to say. Yeah. So it's your own introspective awareness. So you become more aware of yourself and how you feel and what you're thinking. And it also heightens your senses, right? You can become, things feel more, or you can see things more clearly, or something smells better, or something tastes better, stronger. Right? So that's also supported by mindfulness. Mindfulness can do those same things. So when you're combining cannabis and mindfulness, you're increasing your ability to do those things, to be more aware of your own introspection, or to be more, in the senses, in the moment. Those two things work together to help you do that. And, depending on the type of activity you're engaging in for mindfulness, if it's something like breath work or journaling or focused visualization of grounding, cannabis can help you actually get into that more quickly than if you weren't using cannabis, right? It can help you drop down into that space of focus and of mindfulness and of intention more quickly than if you hadn't consumed it, especially when that's your intention for consuming it to begin with. It can really do that. It can definitely help you get into that. But the key here, of course, is that you're doing it with intention. You have to set the intention first. This is the thing that I'm doing this for. Cannabis responds so well to intention. You can have two opposite outcomes from the exact same product because you set your intention differently. Right? I can consume the exact same weed, and one time it makes me uplifted and another time it makes me sedated because I set the intention that it was going to do that thing for me. I think I should do a video on the placebo effect in cannabis because it is very, very powerful. People hear the placebo effect and they think that it's just like a trick. That's nothing's really happening. But the placebo effect actually refers to an effect that happens in your brain. When your brain thinks it's getting something, or when your brain is primed to do something, it does the thing for you. Right? In a lot of these here's an example. There was a study that was done on dental pain. And if you've ever had dental pain, you know that it's terrible. Like there's no place to go with it. You can't, it's just there. It sucks. It's loud. It's literally in your face. And there's not a lot you can do about it. So there was a study that was done on patients with dental pain. And so half the patients, I don't know how many people were in the study, 50 or something. Half the patients, they gave morphine, like an opiate too, right? Which obviously is going to reduce the pain. The other half of the people, they gave a placebo to. They gave like a sugar pill or water or whatever and told them that it was morphine. Now, obviously the people who received morphine, 98, 99% of them, whatever, experienced pain reduction. That's what we'd expect because the molecule, the chemical, actually works on the pain receptors and reduces your brain's ability to feel the pain. Now, what's really interesting, however, is that among those who took the placebo, which is just, an injection of saline, it was nothing, half of those people said that they felt a reduction in pain that was commensurate with the pain reduction felt by the people who took morphine. Let me say that again. Half the people who took a placebo, who did not take anything at all, had the same amount of pain reduction as the people who took morphine, who took an opiate. Now, there were no tricks going on here. There was no trick that happened. What happened was their brains, the people who took the placebo, half of those people, their brain said, oh, I know what's going on here. I'm getting an opiate. It's going to work on these pain receptors. I'm going to help it along. I'm going to produce that chemical as well. And their brains actually produced an opiate that helps to reduce pain. Because when you consume that morphine, the first group, the group who actually got the morphine, they were not only experiencing the effects of the morphine. They get some of the morphine in there, and then the brain goes, oh, I see what's happening here. I'm going to produce some more of these molecules as well to help with the pain reduction. But you didn't actually even have to have that molecule introduced in order for your brain to do it. The brain knew, oh, I know what's going on here. I know what these molecules are. I've had these before. I know what pain reduction is. I can do it myself. Half those people's brain did it themselves. That is remarkable. And that is the placebo effect. I don't remember exactly why I was talking about it here, but right. Because it's all about intention. I remember. I brought it back. Okay. It's all about intention, right? So much of all of this, especially when it comes to cannabis, is about the intention that you set when you consume it. Where are you putting your brain? How are you priming your brain? What placebo effect are you giving your brain? What are you telling your brain that it's going to be doing? What kind of molecules are you getting your brain ready to produce? Your brain is incredibly, incredibly powerful. It can do all kinds of things. Cannabis just provides a little bit of a jump for it to actually do the things it's going to do for itself. I'm teaching you how to use cannabis as a tool to do that, but your brain is the thing that's going to do it, not the weed. The weed just helps get it started. It's a tool. The magic is your brain. The magic is you. You're the magic. Your brain's the magic, not the weed. Well, weed's magic too, but that's a different story. Okay, so like I said, I was going to give you 5 ways that you can pair cannabis with mindfulness in like a pretty low res way. Like I don't want you to be too crazy about this or be too precious, but like there are some pretty low res ways that you can pair cannabis and mindfulness, just like, by paying attention a little bit more. And as always, keep track of how this works for you. Keep a little journal, right? This is how the cannabis felt for me this day. This was the intention I set. This was the intention I set this day. This is how it worked for me that day. Keep track so that you can look back and see how things are working for you. Okay, number 1, and we touched on this a bit earlier, would be microdosing and breath work. Okay, so microdosing looks different for every person. For a beginner, this would probably be around 1 to 2 milligrams of THC in an edible. If you're looking at dried bud, you'd want to find something that has a THC percentage for sure under 20, but maybe even under 15 or 16 if you can. You're going to find lots of nice strains at that number. Maybe look for something with more of a 1-to-1 THC to CBD ratio. But whatever, if you're not sure about microdosing, there is another video on microdosing. I will link it up here for you so that you can check it out on microdosing cannabis, especially for focus. But everyone's microdose is going to be different. So whatever your microdose is, you want to pair that with some breath work. So 3 to 5 minutes of slow breathing. You can, focus on belly breathing. So breathing into your belly and then letting it all go. You could do something like box breathing where you breathe in for 4, hold it for 4, breathe out for 4, hold it for another 4. There's all kinds of breathwork exercises that you can find, on YouTube, online, wherever. So find one that you really like that's, 3, 5, 10 minutes long, whatever, and try it. See how that goes for you, right? That's a mindfulness exercise that allows you to really drop into your body, drop into the moment, get really present. And when it's combined with a microdose, that can make it a bit easier for you to drop into your body in those moments as well. When you're doing this, you really want to focus on the breathing length. So lengthening out your breaths, because this is going to activate your parasympathetic nervous system. It's going to help bring down the fight or flight and get you back into a state where you're grounded and you're centered and you're able to focus and be motivated rather than, being full of cortisol and adrenaline and feeling like you're going to run a race at any minute. Okay, so microdosing and breath work is one way that you can combine combine cannabis with mindfulness. Another way that you could do it would be through like a mindful journaling session, right? So take a small intention-based dose, whatever that looks like for you, probably a little bit more than a microdose in this session, because you are looking to alter your perceptions and your perspectives and see things in a bit of a different way. But you would take a small intention-based dose and then use a journal prompt, something like, what does my body need right now? Right? And then you're just going to journal it. You're just going to go sort of, stream of consciousness, free thought. And the idea here is to let the plant help you, not fix you, right? So you're not looking for the plant to be like, you need this nutrient in your body, blah, 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 blah. But you are looking for the plant to go, maybe you haven't been eating the right foods, and maybe you can support yourself a little bit differently through that. Right? So you're not looking for a fix here from the cannabis plant. You're just looking for some new insights and a new way to see things and a new way to listen. A third way that you can use cannabis and mindfulness together is to take a walk without your phone. Right? So you consume a bit of cannabis, a microdose or a macrodose or whatever the dose that's right for you to take a walk, especially if it's like in nature. If you've got like a walking path or a woods or anything near you that you can walk through nature a bit, that's a really nice way to combine cannabis and mindfulness. Just, leave your phone in the car. Don't have a podcast. If you need it, for safety or whatever, fine, but put it in your pocket. Don't listen to a podcast. Don't listen to a YouTube video. Don't listen to music. Don't talk to somebody on the phone. Don't watch a video. Don't watch a show. Put your phone away. Just take breaths and take steps and observe. See how you feel. How does your body feel in this moment? What does nature look like? Oh my God, there's so many things we can look at. Look at the trees. Look at the birds. Listen to the birds. There's a little creature running across the sidewalk. I don't know, those plants look wild. Don't touch them. They might be poisonous, right? There's so many things that we can be mindful of by just being in the moment and being present and being aware. Just put your phone down. Put your phone away. Leave it, right? Instead, have a little bit of weed and then focus. How do I feel? How do the steps feel? How do my breaths feel when I take them? What did I see? What do I see in my walk? What am I experiencing? Be in the moment. That's an easy way to get yourself into the moment and to be mindful. It's just to take a walk out in nature a little bit, right? Or even just go sit on the grass somewhere, touch a tree, sit under a tree, commune with a tree. Nature is an exceptionally good way to ground and to center in intentionality and mindfulness. Nature is kind of like built for it. It's built to help us get back to ourselves, back to our roots, back to who we are. Okay, and then a fourth way that you could do it would be with like a guided meditation or a body scan, right? So you consume a bit of cannabis if it's inhaled. All of these ways, they're a bit easier with inhaled because the timing's a bit easier. But if you prefer an edible, that's fine. Just make sure that you've given yourself enough time for it to onset before you engage in this activity. So if you're going to do something like a guided meditation or a body scan, that's a great way. That's a great thing to do because it's, a very different experience than you normally would have. So you can listen to a guided meditation or a body scan recording to guide you through that, to lead you through that activity. Another thing that you could use that would be very similar would be like a float. So if you have a float tank near you, I know some people here, actually some friends of mine who also worked here in the cannabis industry in Toronto. One of them is a huge proponent of these float tanks, these like saltwater float tanks. She absolutely loves them. And she got me to go one time. And I'll be honest with you, it's not for me. Like I don't like it. It's just not, I don't know. I don't like it. But a lot of people swear by it and they say it's amazing, right? So you have a bit of cannabis or whatever you're consuming. Some people use other psychedelics while they're going into it. And then you go in for an hour and you float in the sensory deprivation tank, right? Which is like, that's mindfulness right there. There's nothing else for you to focus on but your own experience in this moment, right? So that's another way that you could use cannabis with that mindfulness and sort of body awareness intention. If you have a float tank available to you, obviously not everyone's going to have a float tank where they are. I happen to live in a big city. But if you do, that's another way that you can engage in that sort of guided meditation, sort of body scan pairing with cannabis. Do it in a float tank. And then the fifth one, so the fifth little practice that you could try would be a gratitude practice before bed every night, right? So if you're someone like me who consumes cannabis for sleep, I use, weed gummies to help me sleep every night. But a nice thing to do would be to, when you consume that sleepy time cannabis, whether, you're using a product with CBD or CBN or THC or whatever it is, maybe it's a linalool rich strain, something that has sort of calming and sedating properties to it. So when you consume that, it's nice to have a gratitude practice, right? Like that is a very mindful and intentional activity where you just sit down and you can write it down or you can just say it out loud and go through your day. Like, these are the things that I'm grateful for today. And you can find so much. There are so many things available for you to be grateful for each one of us to be grateful for, right? The fact that you woke up this morning alive and you're breathing, the fact that your body works in whatever capacity your body works in, the fact that your brain works enough, at least for you to watch this video and consume this information, that you're able to, some of your senses work. Maybe all of your senses work. Not everybody has all their senses that work. Some people are blind. Some people are deaf. Some people are mute. There are lots and lots of things to be grateful for, right? So each of us has many things that we can be grateful for. And when you experience life from a place of gratitude, it actually helps to reframe your brain's reward system towards satisfaction. So instead of feeling, unsatisfied and constantly looking for the next thing that's going to give you a dopamine hit, it actually helps your dopamine system be more focused on satisfaction rather than looking for the next reward. So when you stay in a state of gratitude, when you live in a state of gratitude, it makes everything seem better because you are focused on how everything has satisfied you instead of constantly looking for the next reward. So gratitude is an amazing practice to incorporate into your daily life, right? You don't need to meditate for an hour. You just have to show up long enough to let yourself hear what your body's already trying to tell you. Combining cannabis with mindfulness is not about sitting in lotus pose and meditating for 8 hours a day. Like, obviously, yes, you can do that, and that has value and benefit. And I would like to do that sometimes too. But there are also days where you have to get up and you have to go do things. So being mindful and having a gratitude practice to ground you in that mindfulness is a great way to approach it and ensure that you are coming at your life, your work, your productivity, your focus from the best platform possible. You're coming at it from a platform that is already grounded and intentional and grateful, instead of one that is constantly looking for more stimulation and more reward and looking to be motivated from something outside of itself. Okay, so pick one of these 5 practices and try it every day for a week. Keep track of it. Keep track of how you felt before. Keep track of how you felt afterwards. Keep track of the products that you used. You might notice that some of your cravings go down and your clarity goes up. You might notice some changes in your focus and your motivation. Your energy might become easier to regulate. You might notice no changes at all, but if you keep track of it, then it will be easier to identify what things are working and what things are not working, right? So keep track of it as much as you can so that you can start to really hear what your body's telling you and start to hear the messages that it and cannabis are sending you. So if you want more guidance on combining cannabis with mindfulness, I have, as part of this series on cannabis and focus and productivity, I have created a free downloadable PDF guide, a guide to intentional cannabis focus and productivity. It's full of tips and tricks. It's got these 5 routines in it that you can try. It's got some other ideas in there as well that you can give it a shot and see how it works for you. See if it helps you become more mindful. See if it helps you be more in the moment. See if it gives you more clarity, more focus, makes it easier to be intentional. All of that is in there. So the link to that is in the description, along with link to some other free resources, some other paid resources as well that may be useful to you, that may be helpful for you. So if you are just stopping by, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel. We talk about all kinds of intentional cannabis consumption here, lots of tips and tricks, ways that you can use cannabis to have a better, more intentional life with more impact on people around you, and to add more value and to do more good and to have a better time while you're here. That's what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to do good and have a good time while we're here. I think most of us, that's what we're trying to do, right? So if you're loving this series, you can check out the other videos in the series if you haven't watched them all yet. And just remember that, you don't need more stimulation to stay focused. You need alignment. And cannabis and mindfulness together give your brain the pause that it needs to get back into its own rhythm and find that place where clarity really begins. Until next time, take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next one.